Recently, I've been reading or read Stillness Flowing. It's the life and teachings of Ajahn Chah. It's quite a beautiful volume, and it tells the story of how the Thai forest tradition was established in Thailand and also throughout the world, and from Ajahn Chah's life right from when he was born until his death, and also what happened after his death. And what I found particularly moving was the common threads that I could see in the stories that were told about monastic life across traditions, and seeing how many commonalities there are from my experience living here at Sravasti Abbey, and also what the Sangha under Ajahn Chah went through under his guidance in establishing the Sangha, the Thai forest tradition throughout the world. And two questions kind of stood out to me based on some key passages that really caught my attention in terms of what does it mean to practice the Dharma, and what did I expect that to look like coming to a monastery. So I thought I'd share just a few passages that really struck me to reflect on. And so the first passage is a reflection or about the story about how they established Chithurst Monastery in England in 1978. And the various causes and conditions, they were gifted a piece of land, and right next to that was a very dilapidated building that they bought to kind of have the whole piece of land together, and that became Chithurst Monastery. And so Ajahn Sucitto describes the conditions of the building. He says, the owner had let the place run to seed. Uncleared gutters that had broken and spilled water over the walls so that dry rot had spread. As things had broken down, they had been abandoned. When we moved in, only 4 of the 20 or so rooms were still in use. The electricity had blown, the roof had leaked, the floors were rotten, and there was only one cold water tap for washing. The house was full of junk, all kinds of bric-a-brac from pre-war days. The outbuildings were crumbling, roofs stoved in by fallen trees. The cesspit had not been emptied for 25 years. The gardens were overgrown. A fine-walled fruit garden was a chest-high sea of nettles. Over 30 abandoned cars protruded through the brambles that smothered the vicinity of the old coach house. And what struck me really was the paragraph that followed next in terms of Ajahn Amaro's response to that, or how he practiced with that when he came to Chithurst 1 year later. It says that Ajahn Amaro arrived the following year from Thailand. He was unfazed by the work ahead, confident that the training he had received from Longpo, Ajahn Chah, had prepared him from it. And so in his own words, it was not seen as a great imposition on our practice. It was just simply, well, we practice with this. You wear your boiler suit, you put your pack of dry rot fluid on your back, you climb into the chimney with your spray gun, and you meditate. And you see that Luangpo Ajahn Chah's concern for our ability to adapt and to develop the right attitude to whatever situation was occurring was far more important than having precise conditions for formal meditation practice. That Luangpo's concern with our ability to adapt and develop the right attitude to whatever situation was occurring was far more important than having precise conditions for formal meditation practice. And it was the making of the quality of adaptation the most important thing, the readiness to live in peace with the world, rather than getting the world to fit your idea of what peace is. So I was kind of just blown away by that paragraph, the depth of Ajahn Amaro's practice, to be totally unfazed with the work ahead to transform this dilapidated building into a monastery and to take that as his practice. And I really put the question back to myself in terms of, what does it mean to practice the Dharma, and am I reliant on conducive external conditions in order to do that, or can I adapt to whatever situation arises? Can I adapt and develop the right attitude to practice with whatever arises? And the phrase that kind of came to mind was, did I come here to get my way, or did I come here to train my mind? that has been said quite frequently here, and that just puts it in a whole different light. And I really had no idea what I was expecting when I came to Sravasti Abbey. I knew that I wanted to ordain, and that Venerable Chöden was one of my teachers, and that I wanted to live in community, and that my brief 1-month visit here confirmed to me that this is where I wanted to be. But what monastery life would look like, all that would involve, I had no idea. And yeah, so right now we are in the middle of building a Buddha hall, and the Sangha is expanding, and there's all sorts of changes and expansions and new horizons that are opening up, and it's involving a whole lot of things that I would never have thought to be involved in. And the balance between formal meditation practice and study and service, it's constantly fluid as well. And I can see very clearly that the times when I struggle the most is when my self-centered thought is the strongest, when I'm wanting to basically tweak samsara to make it comfortable for myself in terms of it according with my own opinions or preferences, just trying to be comfortable really in every moment. And that's not training the mind. And that's not seeing where the cause of suffering is, and where the causes of suffering lie, and where the causes of happiness lie. It's very much trying to tweak things so that, as he said, trying to get the world to fit into my idea of peace, as opposed to working with my mind to bring peace to whatever situation arises. And then fast forwarding, I think that was in 1978 or 1979. And then fast forwarding to the early 1990s, there were similar stories that were told around how the Sangha in Thailand built the stupa for Ajahn Chah, but also the cremation site. They built this huge site so that a couple of 100,000 people came to that cremation. And there was many years of work leading up to that. And so this is describing what they participated in. The monks built a concrete road stretching from the inner monastery gate out to and around the cremation site, a total distance of some 2 kilometers. Built a 2-kilometer concrete road. The work took nearly a year of work days, from mid-morning to dusk, and often until late into the night. The younger monks did the heavy work, lifting the bags of cement into the mixer and spreading the concrete on the road. The older monks squatted on their haunches making rebar. All involved took pride in their work and executed it with devotion. There were no cut corners, no sloppy finishes. Each person's labor was an expression of gratitude to their teacher. And then Ajahn Liam, who was kind of heading the whole project, who was Ajahn Chah's successor, said, "When people work with a spirit of self-sacrifice, it's not difficult. Nobody made a fuss. Even when we worked late into the night, nobody asked when we were going to stop. Whether it was pouring with rain or the sun was beating down, there were no complaints. And so the results every day were satisfying. It was a tribute to the harmony of Longpo's disciples, and as Sangha projects go, it was a historic event. We came together and did this task with pure hearts, and without paying any attention to feelings of tiredness or exhaustion. Everyone made sacrifices." So the phrase, the spirit of self-sacrifice, isn't really something that I connect with, but the spirit of working for the greater good, working for the welfare of others, putting others first, seeing the bigger picture that looks beyond my own immediate preferences, opinions, comforts, and looking beyond this life towards the project of deeply rooting the Sangha wherever it exists in the world, and all that involves, that I connect with, and that's what I think is being communicated here. So it's just inspiring as to wanting to bring that kind of enthusiasm and dedication and resolve and steadfastness to all that will be unfolding, that is currently unfolding and will continue to unfold in the next many years as the Buddha Hall keeps being built and other developments grow. And what came to mind reading this was also Master Jenhu's story about Master Empty Cloud, who built and then rebuilt him and his disciples, the monasteries in China. And saying that it wasn't actually about the building of the monastery itself that was most important. It was about learning to overcome all the obstacles that would arise in the process of doing so. And that through learning to overcome those obstacles is where you really learn how to practice the Dharma and learn the meaning of the teachings that they'd received from their teacher. And it was this building of resilience, harmony, and getting our priorities straight through that process that seemed most clear from these stories, in terms of the priority isn't just one's own benefit and comfort, but rather the bigger picture of providing a place for people to come so they can meet and access the Dharma, be able to practice, and have a flourishing community to support that. So may we rejoice in our own ability to support that happening right here.